For me, ultra depth is really part of everyday life because it's establishing a deep, meaningful working relationship with a very important part of you.
Ultra depth is safe and effective. I think the effectiveness of it would determine on each individual's intention and desire.
Experience deep states that were in one way very new to me, but in another way were states that I had experienced every day of my life. And what I found unique about ultra depth is it took something that's so simple and common and so everyday, that's a part of us, and put it together in a very specific, powerful combination that's usable.
It's about letting go, giving in, and relaxing. And then knowing that what comes from that is truly for your highest good.
Ultra depth is a phenomenal tool for stress management.
Hello, my name is James Ramey, and I would personally like to welcome you to the DVD Ultra Depth Hypnosis in-Home Study course. Ultra Depth has been called by accepted authorities in hypnosis as the most astounding and little-known discovery of our time. Ultra Depth is a tool that actually facilitates direct and powerful communication with our higher selves, what we refer to as the subconscious part of our mind. During this training, you will gain a new and different understanding of the role of subconscious in our daily lives. You will begin to know the potential subconscious has to partner with us to achieve powerful healing, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Ultra depth was first discovered in the mid-1960s by Walter Secord of Blackwood, New Jersey, while working with his first assistant, Mary Borghese. There, at his Institute of Relaxation, later worked with his partner, Sarah Zane. While teaching classes in hypnosis, they continued to make profound discoveries in the human mind and brain. Much of his and Sarah's work was validated by the medical physicians Drs. Dolman and Marco of Philadelphia. What Walter called ultra depth, we now refer to as the Secord state in his honor. Walter never actually taught ultra depth, he just demonstrated it with Sarah. As Walter's apprentice for over 7 years, it was left to me to create a system for reproducing the 4 major levels of depth. In August of 1997, Walter granted his only seal of approval to my work that he and I had started over 30 years ago. Since that time, in partnership with Kimberly Miles, the work has been refined through practice, integrated into the current training. In more than a decade, powerful and effective therapeutic applications were developed. Please approach this training with an open mind and without any of the prejudices you may have acquired from previous trainings. You will be taught powerful and focused techniques to incorporate into your practice. These oriented tools will yield powerful results that are beyond what you have experienced before. It is my belief that Ultra Depth goes beyond traditional hypnosis. it has the potential to create major and positive shifts in our consciousness and awareness in the process of life and living. I would go even as far to suggest that working with subconscious is a backdoor to world peace. When we understand and experience the true nature of our subconscious, we will begin to treat ourselves and our neighbors with honor, integrity, dignity, and respect. Thank you for joining me on this remarkable and timely journey. One of the first things I want to talk about is the human mind and the various levels of it. Most of us think of ourselves as the most powerful part of us. However, there's elements to our mind. We have the conscious, our subconscious, and of course, the unconscious or the brain. To me, all of our habits and behaviors are stored in the brain. Learn from actions of the conscious mind once we go through what I call a shift. I'll explain that in a moment. First of all, let's talk about the conscious mind. Who really is the conscious mind? I'm the conscious mind. I'm the one who's speaking, have a job, have friends. I do things, play games, watch television, go to the movies, drive a car. But who is subconscious? What is the subconscious mind? Many of us refer to the subconscious as the higher self, as our gut instinct, as this part of us that, well, let's say that many of the professional systems such as psychology and so forth seem to blend the conscious and the unconscious together. In my experience, there's a separation. First of all, the conscious and the subconscious is not a physical thing. We have a body. There's something that operates that. What operates it, we all know, is the brain. Now, I know that by stimulating certain parts of the brain, we could have certain things take place, such as past memories come up, emotions come up. And we say, well, emotions, what are emotions? Once we have an emotion to a certain stimuli, what we then have is something is recorded in the brain. That is part of this memory process. As we go through life, different elements that we need to function with will take hold, will energize, in a sense. When we wake up in the morning and we're getting ready to go to work, we have certain things we want to do. We go through this process, most of the time not aware we have another part of us functioning along with us for our betterment, for our highest good, helping us throughout the day. Many of us ignore that part of us. Many times after we get some advice, we have this intuitive hit, this gut instinct, we dismiss it. Afterwards, we're kind of kicking ourselves in the seat of our pants. So there's a separation here between something. The conscious, who I am at this moment, has a certain amount of information. We have a certain amount of experience. We draw on things that are recorded in the brain. As we go throughout our day and we have these other feelings, these other things that come up to us in a form, to me, as guidance, this is coming from our subconscious. Some people refer to it as the all-knowing part of us. Now, it doesn't seem to take over the life, but what it does is help with the life. Helps to make it more fuller, more richer, benefits us in many ways. And those who have these experiences where we have this fleeting moments of intuition or gut instinct come up and and afterwards we were kicking ourselves because we ignored it, what were we ignoring? It's very important to understand how this makeup all came to be. When we're first born, we come into the world as subconscious and the brain. Subconscious is that child from infancy to a certain age. Subconscious is learning. Children are subconscious. It's Dr. Preston who had said that between the age of 5 and 12 is when we make this shift. And what he was talking about is the shift between the conscious and subconscious. What happens is this conscious, what we call the shell in ultra depth, begins to form. And somewhere between the age of 5 and 12, the average person, average meaning the majority of people, switch. The role changes. The brain, in the meantime, has been absorbing information indiscriminately. Whenever there is a similar stimulus, that information is replayed. Even if it is not exact information, like I said, similar, the brain will replay this. When this occurs, this is where we have our habits, our behaviors. For example, those who smoke cigarettes. I know because I used to be a smoker for many years. Anything that is similar to a time when you picked up the cigarette, put it in your mouth and lit it, anything, any kind of stimulus that is similar, once it occurs, the same behavior will happen. This happens usually without the awareness of the conscious mind. I know because I had the experience many times, and I caught myself doing this, driving a car, and all of a sudden I'm reaching for a pack of cigarettes. I had just put out a cigarette. Why am I reaching for the pack of cigarettes, getting ready to tap another one out? One time I caught something. I passed a billboard. On the billboard happened to be a man on a horse. And most of you would say, ah, yes, it refers to the Marlboro Man. But it wasn't a commercial about Marlboro. It happened to be a Ford Bronco commercial. My brain, which sees everything because of the input coming into the eyes, picked up this man on the horse. It was similar to the Marlboro Man. So what happened? The brain then, from memory, caused me to function and open up and tap out another cigarette. I began to observe more behavior from me and others. And I learned something, that there's something else beyond the conscious that is like programs running. So now I refer to the brain as the CPU for the body. Information that is up here gets played whenever there's a similar stimulus. The brain houses tremendous amounts of information, but that's not the only place that information is stored. A lot of information is stored throughout the cells of the body, the entire body. This information sometimes will play again. When the brain is looking for something to relate to certain stimuli, it doesn't always come from information directly in the brain. It can be information stored in one of the bones in the big toe. The way the brain works is very much like a computer, very much like that central processing unit. We react and respond to that. Our likes or dislikes. We, the conscious. However, sometimes we get something, this feeling, and many times that's the way subconscious communicates to the conscious, through feelings. Many times it's trying to tell us that what we're feeling is not necessarily fact, and is trying to give us different information. As we move through life and reach this age between 5 and 12, sometimes there are those of us who shift before the age of 5. They develop less coping skills. They're unable to handle stress as well. Sometimes they even have some physical ailments that we see take place. Sometimes it affects the physical body. Sometimes it only affects the emotions. Sometimes it affects the mental processing. There are those also who shift sometimes much later than the age of 12. These people, we refer to many of them as having special talents, they're gifted, special abilities. We've seen this in a lot of our research. We begin to categorize and catalog these things. And we've learned what the conscious really is. The conscious is formed because of fears and false beliefs. What happens, this shell is what takes over the life once the shift takes place. Many times it's very difficult for subconscious to get through to the conscious shell. Sometimes through dreams, metaphoric dreams, tries to communicate with us. Sometimes it's through our feelings, and sometimes it's that still small voice within. This part of us really truly loves us, understands what it's like in the physical because it operated in the physical at one time, knows what limitations we have, understands them, and is very compassionate about working with us, helping us, so that we can have a more fruitful life. Subconscious is very important to each and every one of us. We need to understand more about subconscious. As we go through life and we begin to, we use the term mature, what seems to happen is that the shell with some of us begins to thin, soften, very much like the shell of a chicken, the egg. When the egg is fertile, the shell is very soft, very pliable. When it is not fertile, it's very brittle, very hard. Things cannot penetrate it. And the shell, with us humans, many times gets in our own way. We have a goal we want to achieve, and because of our fears that we programmed into the brain, our false beliefs, ends up being an obstacle for us. It takes some work to get through. We have found ways to do this, to soften this shell. Through ultra depth, we have found some answers. As we mature, the three elements of us, the subconscious, the brain, and the conscious, work together. Subconscious can actually reprogram the brain, the programs that have been pre-installed, the programs that through repeated behavior have been installed, can be reprogrammed, can be changed. This can improve the behavior or the outcome of the behavior that conscious is performing. As you see here with these three circles, subconscious is the largest circle. To me, I'm trying to say it's the vastness. Conscious, much smaller. And the reason why I'm denoting that the brain is a circle is because of the emptiness. It is unconscious, has no awareness. It only responds to stimuli and plays programs. Now, some of the programs were pre-installed at the time of conception and continue to install throughout the development of the fetus. As the child begins to grow through different things it learns, more programs are added. Our system here on this planet enables a lot of these programs, many of them unnecessary, to actually affect behavior of the conscious person. There are ways, and as we go through this training, I'll show you what can be done to help soften the shell so that subconscious can get through. The brain, constantly functioning, all during waking and sleeping, affects the conscious mind. Subconscious can reprogram the brain, can communicate with the conscious. It's important to understand that anything that subconscious is advising us of is truly for our highest good, is really working to benefit us. In Ultra Depth, we deal with all three parts. It's very important to understand what part does what. I'd like to now speak about the most important part of the mind. To me, it's subconscious. Subconscious has not received the credit it really due, nor has it received the notoriety it deserves. Most people really don't understand who subconscious is. I don't care what profession or walk of life they come from. Most just really don't understand who we are and how powerful we really are. There's a part of us that is so loving, so caring. That part of us, subconscious, takes care of us many times. When we're driving a car over a distance and we start thinking about different things, and we focus our mind elsewhere. But some of us, we find that the road even seems to disappear. And we drive on, they say, automatic. Clinically, it's called highway hypnosis. But what's actually taking place here? Many of us continue to drive extremely safely for very long distances. Some of us even come up the traffic lights, stop at the light, continue on. I know several who've told me stories about how they leave their place in the morning, their home, to go to work. Next thing they know, they're at work. They don't recall the turns, the traffic lights, not a scratch on the car. Never got stopped by a police officer for speeding. Well, then who was driving? Well, it's certainly not the brain. Because the brain, all it can do is just run programs and respond to different stimuli. Can it make a decision? Can it make a choice? Can it decide to slow down or speed up the vehicle? Can the brain decide to take a different route? How many of you have ever found this happening with you, where you've been driving over a period of time, over a distance, and all of a sudden you realize for some time you were not aware of the road? So who was driving? Who was taking care of you? How about how many times have maybe you been working on a project or something and maybe cut yourself and was not aware of it until the project was over? Well, what happened to that discomfort? Why was that removed? You completed the project? There's different times subconscious will kick in for us. Does many things, works with all the systems of the body by adjusting the different programs in the brain that run the body. Who determines what to do for digestion? You put on into your body many different elements when you're eating. Who knows what to do? Yes, the brain comes with a pre-installed program. But then as we grow older, we start changing a lot of things. So who makes all these adjustments? There's times with some individuals that all of a sudden they have this knowing on a subject that there's no way that they could have picked that up from something that was read, something that was told, or something that was experienced. But they know it as fact. Where does that come from? How do they know these things? Look at all these great inventors throughout time. Many of them would take a nap, so history says. Some of them would go into a meditative state. When they would come out of these things, they'd have solutions to the problems that they were encountering. Where did the solutions come from? Conscious had a problem, had an obstacle. They let go. When they came up or awoken, they had the solution. Edgar Cayce, the great American sleeping prophet, he was one of the first here in this country that we know of that was able to do this. He helped many people heal from different elements because he would go into a sleep-like state, as it is written, and from the state he was able to talk, to communicate. And the solutions were written down and then given to these people. Edgar Cayce's subconscious helped these people. Today, we have more people who are like this. But it's not really fully understanding of where it's coming from. However, Edgar Cayce himself understood. He himself said, what comes from me comes from my subconscious, not from any knowledge I have. So who is subconscious? It's not physical. Have you ever had the experience of having an emotion that was more profound than what you normally would experience? A very deep feeling of joy, a very deep feeling of sadness, a very deep feeling of happiness, a very strong knowing. Where's that coming from? This is you. This is who you truly are. This is subconscious. Subconscious was first in the life. Look at that baby, that infant. You as a parent, look at that child. Look into its eyes. You will see subconscious. Watch the child as it grows. Look into the eyes. You will still see subconscious. The love the child has for you, When the child forms the conscious shell, subconscious has that same love for the conscious. It's unconditional love. We have found ways to communicate with subconscious. It's not the brain, it's not the responses that are coming because of certain stimuli. It's choices that subconscious is making. Wanting to help. Cares so deeply, so profoundly. Because it loves you. Your subconscious is where all these deep feelings come from. Your subconscious has the answers you seek. It's all the answers we all seek. Your subconscious really does care. That's who subconscious is.
Ultra depth is a technique that helps people to be in relationship with themselves in a very profound and meaningful way that creates life changes for the highest good. Not only does it affect that person, but it affects their family, their co-workers, their neighborhood. Everyone who comes in contact with them is the better when people can relax and know themselves, because that core, the subconscious, is where our integrity is, where our inspiration, where our creativity lies.
The understanding of the mind model with the ultra depth, as well as some of the other readings I have done, I think is more accurate than what's usually in the textbooks and what's usually being taught at a lot of places.
Let's talk about what are the requirements for hypnosis. There are actually 3 requirements. The first requirement is the consent of the individual. Now that can be in 2 different ways. That can be either tacit, which is direct consent, them giving you verbal permission, or even written permission, or it could be implied. Implied consent is if that person comes, say you have an office, a practice, they come to you. That is consent. I myself, even though people come to me, I like to also have it in writing, that they're giving me consent to work with them. To me, it's very important to have it on many different levels. So that person who is coming to you has given you their full and complete consent. It's very important in the communication, in the rapport building. The next is just that, communication between the operator and the client. Communication is very important. If you're going to be working with a person in an altered state of consciousness, and that's what hypnosis is, it's very important that you and the other person communicate very clearly. Everything must be fully understood. And then the final one, of course, is freedom from fear. There are many different movies where hypnosis is brought into the movie. And of course, sometimes Hollywood has stretched the facts. There are books that are written. Some of them are just fiction. No basis of facts whatsoever. And then, of course, there's also the neighbor who knows everything about everything and has never even picked up a book or seen any hypnosis performed, but they have an opinion and they're giving it to you, you being the potential client. These things have to be cleared up. There are many myths that have to be dispelled. What hypnosis is to each person is very individual. Their experience is individual. It is not the same with each and every person. It's very important that when you're working with people that you get them to understand this. I do not tell them that, oh, well, you may feel a tingling, you may find yourself feeling like you're drifting or floating, because I don't know what they're going to feel, what they're going to experience. I let them tell me as the session progresses. It's very, very important to understand that you also must educate that person. You have to work to dispel these myths, these false beliefs. The fact is that each person will experience hypnosis differently, even at the exact same depth. Some people, well, they may experience visual effects. Some people not. Some people feelings. Some people may not experience either. At some levels of depth, the person may even believe they fell asleep. Now let's talk about what a person has to achieve in order for hypnosis to actually take hold. The first thing that I find is eye fatigue. Dave Ellman himself made this very important, made it very clear. The next element is eye closure. Can hypnosis occur with the eyes open? Oh, yes, it can happen. There are many people in sports who enter an altered state. They call it the zone. The runner, for example, when the runner is in the zone, that runner has altered his or her state of consciousness. They have entered a state of hypnosis. It happens to each and every person. When you're watching a movie and you're so engrossed in this movie that the background seems to fade away, disappear. Your attention is totally focused on what's happening on the screen. You now become emotionally involved in it. You are in a hypnotic state. When you're watching television, guys, watching some sports game, and maybe your mate comes in and says, honey, what would you like for lunch? And you go, uh-huh. Honey, would you like a sandwich? Uh-huh. Honey, the house is burning down. Uh-huh. Soon as the commercial comes on, you go, what was that you said, dear? You've now exited the hypnotic state. When you were going, uh-huh, uh-huh. You heard. But your focus and attention was on what was happening on that television screen. Did you see the surroundings in the room? You're focused on that screen. Here, you are in a state of hypnosis. Yes, it does occur with eyes open. But when you're doing any kind of therapeutic work, you need eye closure. The next thing that happens, and the client must be able to achieve this, is relaxation. And there's two types: physical relaxation and mental relaxation. For work to be done, deep work, work that's going to be long-lasting, you must achieve both elements of relaxation. It's very important. Now let's talk about something else. Use of numbers in hypnosis. Why do we use numbers? Once we have achieved eye fatigue, eye closure, and relaxation, what do we want to do? Well, we want to deepen that state. It's very important to deepen once we have hypnosis. We want to work to get that person to the most deepest possible level that they can achieve. Now, earlier we talked about the brain. The brain, I said, was a CPU, just like a computer. And the CPU, just like the computer, works with numbers. All the information stored in the brain, even though if we stimulate it, we get an emotional response, it's still numbers. Memory. Oh, I remember this. It's numbers. Anything where the brain kicks in, it's processing by numbers, just like that CPU. Now in school, we learned something as we were a child. And remember, the child, being subconscious, begins to program that brain. What does the child learn about numbers? Well, it learns to count. When you first were taught to use numbers and you walked up to a blackboard, the teacher said to you, Johnny, I want you to write the numbers from 1 down to 10, and that's what they said. And what did you do? You wrote downward on the blackboard. If you had a list of items and then were asked to number them, you start with the number 1 at the top of the blackboard and worked your way down, each time increasing the numbers. As you increase the numbers, you're increasing the value. Now, this is very important. When we have had the person to enter a state of hypnosis, to deepen, we're asking for more. More what? More relaxation. If we take and use this system, I found that we can get depth much quicker, utilizing what was programmed by subconscious into the brain. And that is the value of numbers. 1, we start with. That's what we started with when we wrote on the blackboard. That's the first number. We want to increase, of course, it's 2. We want to increase more, 3. Isn't 3 much more than 1? We could go further. We can go from 1 all the way down to 5. We're moving down the blackboard. The brain has this information. The brain can relate to these things. The more we utilize what the brain has already inside, the less of an obstacle we're going to have. We can remove simple obstacles simply by using what is already there. I know that many other practitioners count different ways. Some may count from 5 down to 1, or 3 down to 1 to deepen. Some may count 1 down to 3 to deepen. At the same time, to exit, they will still count 1 down to 3. Some will count 3 down to 1 to deepen. To exit the state, they will still count 3 down to 1. Doesn't make sense. We want to keep it simple, logical, what the brain has. If we're counting from 1 down to 5, increasing the numbers, increasing the relaxation, increasing the depth, to exit, we want to reverse count. What we want to do then is change things. So if we count from 1 down, we want to change and count from 5 or 3 up. Deepening and the exit should not be the same. To deepen, we should increase the number. We'll get greater depth much quicker. To exit, we want to bring them back to 1. Doing this process is what helped me to understand and achieve greater depth at a greater speed with more of my subjects and clients. When I first learned hypnosis, I was taught to count the other way. I wasn't getting the depth that I should be getting. I didn't understand. When I changed my method of counting, I was surprised how many people I was able to help them to achieve greater depths at a whole lot less time. So again, let's talk about this value. So it's 1 or 3. Which is deeper? Which is more? Which does the brain have? The brain knows that the larger number is a greater value. It's very simple. 1 or 5, which is greater? Of course, 5 is greater. Our money shows this. 1 or 10. And why shouldn't we go beyond 10? Well, let's look at what digits we have in front of us all the time. We have 10. We have 5. We can double. We have 3. We can triple. The brain is very funny. The brain doesn't work beyond 10. The brain can't do 100, can't do 1,000, but the brain can do 10 times 10. Now we understand that, we interpret that as 100. If we ask a person, and I've done this many times with my students as well as clients, I've said, I want you to picture 1 penny. Just imagine 1 penny. They say, yeah, they have that. So, okay, now how about 3? Yeah, they have that. I say, all right, 5, they have that. I say 10. Okay, that's easy. Do 100. They can't do that. It kind of blends and fades out. It's too much. But I can say, all right, how about just 1 pile of 10? Can you do that? Yes, they can see that 1 pile of 10. All right, how about 10 of those piles? They can do that. Can they do 100? No. So why create obstacles? Why don't we work with what's there? It's in front of us. It's been there all of our lives. We can double it. We can triple it. We can do 10 times 10. Makes it very simple. The best methods I found for deepening are 1 down to 3, and then work progressively. Then 1 down to 5. Well, let's use that, and let's double that. And 1 down to 5 again, and we can triple that. Now let's increase it even further and go 1 down to 10. Now we can go 1 down to 10 and double that. 1 down to 10 and triple that. We have deepened a lot. The brain relates to numbers. If we create different methods that the person can relate to, the method of numbers removes obstacles. The more we have to have the conscious mind follow visualizations, keep stimulating the conscious mind, we will not have that person achieve a deep state of hypnosis. The more conscious has to think, the less deeper state we'll achieve. Numbers are simple. They're easy. Very simple methods of deepening. And if we use them the way the brain already has that, pre-installed, we will get greater depth. Understand that the most important item here is the utilization of numbers for depth. I've found just counting, utilizing numbers, has gotten depth with people greater than any other method. I want to talk now about abreactions. Abreactions are very important to understand about because an abreaction can occur at any time. When a person goes into hypnosis and they relax and let go, sometimes some things that they've suppressed for a long time may come up. Be aware that working in deep state this can happen. It's nothing to be alarmed about. As a matter of fact, in some cases, it's an emotional purging, and they need to bring this up. It is nothing more than a suppressed bad memory, something they've been holding back. It's like a pot of water that's boiling with the lid that is locked down tight, and it's still boiling away. Pressure's being built up. You provide them with the opportunity to release and let go. What's very important, though, you have ways of controlling abreactions by saying things like pleasant, contented thoughts going through your mind and marvelous, wonderful feelings flowing throughout your body will actually quell an abreaction. Sometimes a person may think that they're unable to breathe. They can't breathe, even though they are. You must bring their attention to that fact that they are breathing. They are breathing fine. Some people may come up and say, I can't see, I'm blind. All you have to do is say, just relax deeper. Let those eyes close. Relax even deeper. When you open your eyes, coming all the way up, you'll be able to see the colors so much more vivid, all the hues, all the contrasts so much clearer, sharper, seeing even better than you've ever seen before. Many different things can happen. First of all, remain calm. You can think your way through situations. Look how the person is reacting. Listen to how they're responding. You remain calm. If you remain calm, they will not react in such a way to where the situation will get out of hand. It's really up to you. Your actions denote their reactions to whatever they're suppressing. But remember, it's always good to allow these pinned up emotions to come forward, to exercise them. And now you can let them go. Abreactions are important. Understand what they're about. Do not be afraid of them. What you're doing is venting, helping them to vent emotions, memories, things that they've held back for so long. You're giving them the opportunity that they may never ever have in any other situation. Learn to help the person, guide them through. Be aware of what you say. If you give too many visualizations to people that you may think that are totally harmless, but to that individual, remember what these people have said in state. Things become very clear, and the deeper they go, the clearer they become. Be very careful what you say. Qualify the people that you're working with. Take a good intake and make sure that they don't have any fears, such as of high places, of water, of flying, of different items. If a person has fear of water, you don't want to guide them near water. That's why it's important to take a good intake. Understand what you're working with. Be aware that your words can help to create images. And those images may just be something that will stir a suppressed bad memory. So keep things positive. Keep things pleasant. Never do anything to anyone or say anything to anyone that you would not want done to you or said to you in hypnosis or even in the waking state.
Ultra depth is also very different because of the levels of depth that you're able to achieve. I've worked with clients and myself with meditation and different kinds of modalities, and I found nothing that approximates the level of depth that you achieve with ultra depth. And I think that's for many reasons. Number one, ultra depth is really a state of the subconscious. It's really the conscious mind has to let go and get out of the way, because it's the subconscious that does all the work. And in essence, how we do that in ultra depth is we have a different understanding with how the brain works and its inner workings with the mind. And that's one thing, implementing those. Also in terms of how James Ramey has come up with the way that we count in ultra depth. That's extremely different from traditional hypnosis. And I think it's much more powerful, and it makes more sense, and it helps us achieve a greater level of depth.
Now, before we even perform hypnosis, there's two things that are very important. Suggestibility exercises. And why do I call that an exercise? First of all, if we call them tests, like have been called for, 100 years, it makes it harder for the person to be successful. But if we say exercise, we can even do finger exercises. Anybody can do an exercise. I'm doing lift exercises. Anything, any kind of movement is an exercise. So if we say suggestibility exercise, what we're talking about, we are checking their suggestibility, seeing if the person is able to follow us, getting certain information from there. The information will tell us whether the person is an authoritative type person. Are they a passive or permissive type person? This tells us what type of inductions to use. Now, we also use the term pre-induction exercise. The pre-induction means it's immediately followed by an induction into hypnosis. So we use these exercises to give us a lot of information. And it goes like this. Now, this one is called contracting fingers. I want you to take your hands, interlock your fingers. Make sure the heel of your palms are squeezed tightly. Index fingers straight out. Raise the thumb that's on top. Stare at your thumbnail. Pull your index fingers a ½ inch apart. And now just imagine that there's a magnetic force pulling your fingers closer and closer together as it gets stronger and stronger. As soon as they touch, look up at me. Thank you. Now, different people have different rates of how this is going to take place. When we're done, I'll explain all this to you. Okay, same thing. Interlock your fingers tightly. Index fingers out. Raise the thumb on top. Stare at that thumbnail. Pull the index fingers a ½ inch apart. And now you find that there's a strong magnetic force between those two index fingers, pulling them closer and closer together as it gets stronger and stronger, stronger and stronger. Soon they'll touch. As soon as they touch, look right up at me. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Interlock your fingers. Index fingers out. Raise the thumb on top. Stare at that thumbnail. Pull your index fingers a ½ inch apart. Now you find there's a strong magnetic force, and see how fast they come together. Now, let's explain. Drop your hands into your lap. Thank you. Let's explain what actually takes place here. All right, what we're doing is something very important. Interlock your fingers tightly. What we're doing here is making sure, show them, that the hand, the base, the heel of the hands are interlocked, tight, touching, okay? Now, I want you to take and put out your two index fingers. Raise the thumb on top, because that's the easiest. Stare at the thumbnail. This is a distraction. It's very important. Pull apart your two index fingers. Now, hold that. Now, what's happening here, I'm going to let go and watch what happens naturally. Why does this occur? It's fatigue sets in. Fatigue is what brings the fingers together. Hold them out there. With some, it's almost impossible to keep them apart. So you must be able to talk quickly. Pull those fingers apart. Now a strong magnetic force, pulling those fingers closer and closer together. See how fast it happens? Again. Hold them apart. Almost impossible to get it all out. The distraction is when the client or subject is looking at the thumbnail. What's happening then, the natural fatigue that takes place in the muscles brings the fingers together. And you always want to, if you can get it out, as soon as they touch, look up at me. That is the end of either the suggestibility or pre-induction exercise. Okay, thank you. The next exercise I call the lean back, come forward. It's developed from two different exercises. And one time they were called the postural sway. It was the postural sway forward and the postural sway back. When they're combined together, they work much differently. Okay, would you come over here, please? Turn this way a little bit. Back this way. No, still not right. Over here. Yeah, this is better. This way a little bit. A little more. Okay, feet together, heels and toes. Okay. Now I'm going behind you. And I want you to lean back, and I'll show you that I can support you. So lean back. Okay. Now I want you to lean back, and I'll show you I can catch you. So lean back. Very good. Now, you had to force yourself back. Let me show you how easy that will be, and you won't have to force yourself back. I want you to look right here at my thumbnail. I want you to stare at it so intently that when I tell you to close your eyes, you may see it on the back of your closed eyelids. If you do not, don't even worry about it. Now just close your eyes. And when I release my hands from your shoulders, you're going to have a strong feeling of coming back, coming back, coming back. Fine. Open your eyes. Turn around. Put your feet together, heels and toes, arms loose, relaxed at your side. Look right here in my eye. You now have the same feeling to come forward as you did coming back, coming forward, coming forward. Fine. Thank you very much. Different people have different rates of the way things work. Different people, different sizes. Okay, come here. Now I think maybe over here a little bit, back here just a little bit more. Okay, a little more. All right. Put your feet together, heels and toes. Nah, you know, I don't like that either. Let's go this way. Over here a little bit. Perfect. Okay, now put your feet together, heels and toes. Arms loose, relaxed at your side. All right, now I'm going behind you. And I want you to lean back, and I'll show you that I can support you. So lean back. Okay. Now lean back, and I'll show you that I can catch you. So lean back. Very good. Now, if you notice, you had to force yourself back. Now let me show you how easy that will become, and you won't have to force yourself back. I want you to look right here at my thumbnail. I want you to stare at it so intently. And when I tell you to close your eyes, you may see it on the back of your closed eyelids. If you do not, don't even worry about it. Now just close your eyes. I'm going behind you. When I release my hands from your shoulders, you're going to have a strong feeling coming back, coming back. Fine. Open your eyes. Turn around. Feet together, heels and toes. Arms loose, relaxed at your side. Look right here in my eye and no place else. You now have the same feeling to come forward as you did coming back, coming forward, coming forward. Very good. Thank you. Okay, come over here. Let's turn this way. Nah, over here a little bit. No. Okay, over here. Back this way. Okay, feet together, heels and toes. That's good. Arms loose, relaxed at your side. Now I'm going behind you. And I want you to lean back, and I'll show you that I can support you. So lean back. Okay. Now lean back and I'll show you that I can catch you. So lean back. Okay. Now, you had to force yourself back. Now let me show you how easy that will be, and you won't have to force yourself back. Look right here at my thumbnail. I want you to stare at it so intently that when I tell you to close your eyes, you may see it on the back of your closed eyelids. If you do not, don't even worry about it. Now just close your eyes. I'm going behind you. When I release my hands from your shoulders, you're going to have a strong feeling of coming back, coming back, coming back. Open your eyes. Turn around. Feet together, heels and toes. Arms loose, relaxed at your side. Look right here in my eye and no place else. You now have the same feeling to come forward as you did coming back. Coming forward, coming forward. Fine. Okay, thank you. Now, what were we doing? Let's break it down. All right, the first thing, if you noticed, I was leading each of them all over the place. I'm also holding the pulse. This is very important. With the thumb on the pulse, when you begin to feel the pulse, you know you're in composite with that person's subconscious. So you lead them around. Why? Because you want them to follow you. That's what a suggestibility or pre-induction exercise is all about. Once I have the person in position, I say, feet together, heels and toes, arms loose, relaxed at your side. Then I say to them, now I'm going behind you. And my heels of my palms go underneath the shoulder blades. I place my foot at this distance behind their heels. It's very important for balance. Look at the way this foot is. It's very important. All this is balance for you and them both. If the person is a large person, you have a lot of strength and stability this way. My hands here, then I say to them, lean back and I'm going to show you that I can support you. So then they lean back. Now, you don't need a great lean, just enough so they feel that. Then I let go and say, lean back and I'll show you that I can catch you. And you always catch with the heels of your palms underneath the shoulder blades. No place else. Then I say, now you had to force yourself back. They didn't have to force themselves back. Then I say, now let me show you how easy that will become, and you won't have to force yourself back. Twist the body. Now the first thing I do is bring my thumb up here, eye level, bring it in, and then rise it up a little bit. Raising it up like this creates eye fatigue. As the thumb comes in, the eyes come together. We're working one group of muscles. Then we raise the thumb up, and the eyes not only go in, but they go up. We're working two groups of muscles, creating great amount of eye fatigue. Then I say, I want you to stare at my thumb. Nails, stare at it so intently that when I tell you to close your eyes, you may see it on the back of your closed eyelids. If you do not, don't even be concerned about it. Then I say, now close your eyes. Turn this way a little bit. Then I say, I'm going behind you, and I place my hands in this position. This is very important. The feet in place. You say, when I release my hands from your shoulders, you're going to have a strong feeling of coming back. Now, is this the shoulder? No, it's the bottom of the shoulder blade. And then with my hands, I flip forward, they counter, and you catch them. And the words here are, when I release my hands from your shoulders, you're going to have a strong feeling of coming back, and catch them. One hand goes on the shoulder. You say to them, open your eyes. Now turn around, but you turn them. Then I say, feet together, heels and toes. Make sure that your foot is between their two and your other foot is on this angle. It's very important. Again, for balance. Then I say, look right here in my eye. This is where I'm pointing. Not eyes, but eye, and no place else. You now have the same feeling. It's a feeling to come forward as you did coming back. What I'm doing when I do this, and then my hands go up here alongside the ears, is creating a tunnel effect. This tunnel effect, what you're doing is blocking out the peripheral vision. It's important to do that so they are totally locked in on that eye. So you're here, here, and then you say, now you have the same feeling to come forward. You start moving your body back as you did coming back. Coming forward, and you catch here. Come to me. This person is not going anywhere. This doesn't fold backwards. This is where you catch. Very important. Be aware. Some people, and this is another reason why you want your feet like this, some people may lean to their left. You've got to be able to move your foot out there and catch them. They may move to their right, so you've got to be able to get over here. What happens if you're asking them to come forward and they go backwards? You can catch and bring them back up this way. You must look at the whole person, watching the chest, and when you bring your eyes up to look at them, you don't look at them. I don't turn my two eyes to look at his eyes. I look straight back so that my eyes are perfectly straight. If I looked at his eyes looking at mine, my eyes would cross with his cross. Now we lose everything at that point. We want to keep focused on this. It's very important. If this is done properly, it's very effective. Thank you.
It's not a trance state, as Hollywood would like to project, no pun intended, but it is really a state of consent, of hyper-alertness, of awareness, of deep relaxation, usually first with the body and then the mind, and then the benefits ensue after that. And the person is in total control. If they're not willing to do anything, then I think that you will not go anywhere.
Now, the next part that's so important is the induction. And here we're going to be doing different types of speed inductions. And actually, they're all Dave Elman based. Dave Elman didn't just do one speed induction. He did many. I've labeled them Dave Elman type 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll explain a little bit as we go. The first one is kind of what most people do, what most people are aware of. And there's certain parts that are very important about this. First of all, just like with the lean back, come forward, your thumb stabilizes the person's head. So it has to be at the very base of the skull. So if they raise their head up, raise your head up, you've got it stable so they can't go any further. You don't want to push your thumb into the base of their skull. You want it just resting there. So when they go up, they can only go so far. Now this one has to do with focus and then relaxation. And it works like this. Look at my ring. And as you look at my ring, you find that your eyes are becoming very tired, eyelids very heavy, so tired, so heavy, that as I bring my hand down, your eyes will automatically close. Now just close those eyes. Stop. Open your eyes. That's the end of the induction. An induction does not take long. There is a difference between induction and deepening, and this is where the separation begins. The eyes closed. Induction is over. Everything after this is deepening. Now the next one that Dave Elman did goes like this. Look at my ring. As you're looking at my ring, just feel those eye muscles pulling, tugging, and notice what I'm doing. I'm raising my hand. What we're doing with this one is drawing the attention to the strain on the eye muscles. So look at my ring, and as you look at my ring, just feel those eye muscles pulling, tugging, straining. When I bring my hand down, your eyes will automatically close. And they do. For them to follow what the hand is doing, the eyes will close. Very important. Now the next one, this one is kind of on a little bit on the passive side, and it goes like this. Now close your eyes. Now relax your eyes. Relax all the muscles around your eyes. Relax them to the point where they just won't work. When you're sure that they're relaxed to where they won't open, test them and make sure that they won't work. They're so relaxed. Fine, stop testing. That's the end of the induction. Let's do this again. Watch what's happening with the eyes when I ask them to test. Now close your eyes. Relax your eyes. Relax all the muscles around your eyes. Relax them to the point to where they just won't work. When you're sure you have them relaxed to where they won't open, test them real good and make sure that they won't work. They're so relaxed. Fine, stop testing. Let your body relax. End of induction. Open your eyes. Thank you. Now, the last one is a combination. In studying Dave Ellman, as Walter Secord said, this is the man who knows speed inductions. So I studied the man. I studied a lot of things, and I caught something once. He did two different things. Everyone knows about the handshake technique. And when you do this, you grip their hand firmly. It's very important. I'm going to shake your hand 3 times. The first time I shake your hand, your eyes are going to get tired. Let them. The second time I shake your hand, they'll want to close. Let them. The third time I shake it, they're going to lock down tight and you won't be able to open them. Are you ready? Now 1. Eyes are getting tired. Let them. 2. 3. They're locked and you can't open them. Try. Try hard. Fine. Stop trying. Now in a moment, I'm going to drop your hand into your lap. And as soon as your hand touches your lap, your own name will just bounce right out of your mind. For it will be gone, completely gone. Ready now? 1, 2, 3, gone. What did you say your name is? Fine. Stop trying. Close your eyes. Let your body relax. Now I'm going to count from 3 up to 1. On the count of 1, you'll come all the way up and open your eyes. 3, 2, 1. Eyes open. What did you say your name is?
No.
Okay. Now, what is happening here? With this induction, what takes place? We're working for eye closure. And it's important. We tell them, it's a rehearsal method. The first time I shake your hand, your eyes are going to get tired. Let them. Second time I shake your hand, they'll want to close. Let them. The third time, they're going to lock down tight and you won't be able to open them. You can add in there, the harder you try, the less you'll be able to. You can also add in Dave Ellman's famous, expect it to happen and watch it happen. If you feel you need to say those words. With some people, you don't need to. It's just going to happen. You do not, on that third time, close your eyes. When the eyes are closed, you do not let go of the hand. You hang on to it. And the transition now is in this direction. And you say, in a moment, I'm going to drop your hand into your lap. Of course, this is not his lap. But what we're going to do is create a very strong feeling, a sharp feeling. So 1, 2, and then we throw it, which causes a shock, which gaps the brain. And then when you ask for a bit of information that you said would be gone, because you drew the attention to that information, the brain is searching. That slap gaps the brain. The information for a short time is gone. And then you can say, what did you say your name is? If you had set up a number, for example, if I said, and you will find that the number between, and you never say the number that you want them to forget. You say the number before and the number after. Now with deepening, we've been going from 1 down to 3, 1 down to 5. So it has to be a number higher than 5, a stronger number, a number with greater value. I like to use the number between 6 and 8, between 7 and 9, and I say will be gone, completely bounced from your mind. Then I go 1, 2, 3, gone. You can say, on the count of 3, I want you to open your eyes. 1, 2, 3, eyes open, and ask them. The eyes may pop open. Ask them. If it was a number, what I say is, do me a favor, count from 1 to 10 very quickly, because you want to encompass all those numbers. And if it's done well, that number is gone. It's just not there in their counting. They usually don't even notice it. They usually think they've said it. There's a gap that's missing in the brain. It just doesn't come out. What occurs then? This is the beginning. You're at the door of somnambulism. It doesn't take much now to shove them in. And it's just by gently working them down with different deepening techniques. Inductions are important. Learn them well. I found that these 4 are very effective. You can work with many different people. But never dismiss the power of the progressive relaxation. It's very passive, it's not invasive, and the progressive relaxation is probably one of the most powerfulest techniques for inducing hypnosis that you'll ever use. Learn to use it, learn it well.
Personally, I began using Ultradeath CDs that Jim had given me. And I was just using them on sort of a lark, just to see what his work was like from the inside. In other words, for me to be in hypnosis. And both myself and my partner and people that we turned on to these CDs began really enjoying them. But I had an opportunity to use it for a kind of a crisis that I was going through. I was teaching anatomy and physiology at a local school, and I found that there was some tremendous resistance that I was going through with every preparation for the classes. And I went to Jim and asked him, if he could help me with this, and he basically just referred me back to these CDs. I was expecting to get, an elaborate kind of session of hypnosis and things like that, which I had not previously done with him. And so I just went to the CDs, began playing the CDs for myself during this time of kind of a turmoil. What was I going to do? I had certain loyalties to the people that I had signed on with, and yet I was having tremendous problems myself working with this, just having to prepare for various reasons. And after only maybe 2 or 3 times listening to the CDs all the way through, and having again a very enjoyable experience doing that, I recognized that I completely had to stop doing that work. And I called up the founder of the school and told her of my decision, and I was surprised to hear that she completely accepted that this was something that I was going to do. She was fine with it, and I have no idea how this happened, but within the next 4 hours, she had replaced me and was overjoyed with the changeover in the teacher. And in fact, there was no disruption in the class. And so it was a win-win situation that I hadn't even considered a possibility of. I couldn't think my way through it. And I decided that I would just trust in the deeper nature of my own being to figure out the solution, and it came out perfectly within 4 hours.
В далекие-далекие времена жадные дворяне наживались на неграмотном народе. Хорошо, что у них был знакомый в Шервуде. И сейчас, спустя века, узнать, как пополнять свои кошельки, а не чужие, помогает Sherwood.biz. Он может превратить тунеядца во фрилансера, любителя в настоящего профи, помочь безыдейному стать гением. Хочешь привлечь клиентов в свое дело, научиться программированию или анимации, а может выучить чужеземные языки? Получить знания, чтобы заработать, тебе поможет Sherwood.biz. Заходи, узнавай, учись.
И позвольте мне сказать вам кое-что еще. Нет стремления более естественного, чем стремление к знанию.